Want to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Committee for June 16th, 2025. This time, I'm going to ask that our Vice Chairman read our minutes for approval.
Chairman, I've looked through the minutes, found them to be in order, move for their approval.
Have a motion for their approval. Do I have a second? We have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Minutes have been approved. We do not have any public comments for this evening, so we'll move on into our agenda, beginning first with our Correctional Work Center. William Cope. Good evening, sir.
Evening, Commissioners. In your packet, you will find the standard Work Center minutes from our board meeting on June 2nd. Pretty standard month. Work release statistics are next. That program is going well. We also had our work release people go to a job fair this past week and seek out additional employers. Hopefully we'll get a few bites on that. As many people as we can put in that work release program, the better, because they're able to pay their fines and fees, their child support, and get their license, Social Security cards, all that good stuff back before they ever even leave. Next is our yearly activity report. Population is up quite a bit. We've been overriding several in order to hopefully try to relieve some of that population over at the main. Next would be the community service portion, which would be the total trash collected on county state routes, and on the county roads, we collected 7,840 pounds in the past month, and then on state routes, we picked up 486 bags. For the May 2025 monthly worker report, looks like we saved about $67,312 using offender labor throughout the county and the different municipalities within. Next is our CQI stats. Those come straight from our medical department. Just kind of gives you a snapshot of what some of our offenders are dealing with as far as health concerns are. And that is, like I said, very standard month. No budget amendments or any moving of money. And that is our report for the month.
Commissioners, you've heard the report. Do we have any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Further comments?
Question. A quick question. When I was looking at your medical stats here, do the residents have to have health care, or is this just something that the county covers as far as these expenditures and things are concerned, as far as these encounters are?
Right. Anytime that anyone is incarcerated and under the care of any entity, then they are responsible for that.
Yep.
So we are responsible as government officials to take care of people when they're incarcerated.
All right.
So yes, ma'am.
And that's, so then the cost is on
Yes,
us.
ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? If not, all those in favor of the report say aye. Aye. Those opposed, report has been approved.
Chairman, if I could just give out a little shout out.
Okay.
We this past week, we had a program that came into the facility called Hope on the Inside, and we had pretty big event there on Saturday where performers such as Kix Brooks from Brooks and Dunn and Randy Hauser and several other several other performers that I'm not hip enough to know their names, but during that, one of our best volunteer sets, which is with New Vision Baptist Church, brought food and served to all of those performers, and they brought food to serve to all of the sound and lighting people and the roadies and whoever else that were there to help. So I'd really like to thank Pastor Steve and New Vision Church for coming out and providing that food and helping us out with that. We have some of the best, and that's not hyperbole, we have some of the best volunteers in the nation right here in Rutherford County, and that's a proven fact. But I really want to especially give a shout out to New Vision Church for really providing a lot of food and support for this past weekend.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. We'll now have the juvenile detention. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. Unfortunately, Director Duke is not present because she's on vacation, so I'll be presenting. In front of you, you will see our Juvenile Detention Report. This report includes our board minutes, our yearly activity report, juveniles who were booked in and released, our STD stats, and our facility programming. And that concludes our report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, you have the report there in front of you. I'll give you the opportunity to ask the questions.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve, and we do have a second. Yes, ma'am.
I see you have on here population average. What's the capacity that you can hold?
Our capacity is 60. That's our
13,
capacity.
That's not bad then.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your shoes are not as cute as Lynn's.
Item 5, the Emergency Services Public Safety Report, radio system as well. Director Chris Clark.
Chairman, Commissioners, hopefully before you have our Public Safety Report, May 1st through the 31st of this year. One of the things that I'd like to add real quick, one of the special things is that we have been in some of the schools, along with some of the other agencies, trying to assist our students, our seniors, in a program to help them learn how to dispatch and things like that. We just hired our first graduate from high school for our part-time position at our EMA Communications Center. So we find that pretty exciting, and hopefully we'll have some more up-and-coming opportunities to hire these young folks. I'll entertain any questions that you may have. I believe I apologize. Last month I was kind of tied up. We activated the EOC to severe weather and had some minor damage out in Blackman. But what was pretty exciting is that all of our partners came in from Murfreesboro Police Department, Sheriff's Department, State Patrol, EMS, County Fire, all collaborated there in the Emergency Operations Center to take care of business as it came. And I appreciate that partnership.
Questions on the report? Motion to approve. And a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, It has been approved. I believe you have an amendment from Motorola.
Yes, sir. Over the last few years, we've been trying to align the payment for our maintenance along with our fiscal year. We are requesting that we make a budget amendment of $532,000 for our maintenance agreement for Motorola that will put us in line for next fiscal year. Just last year, we thought that that was aligned. This year, I received already 2 more bills. We would like to align that. The money is already in for next year's budget. This would be a budget to make sure that that stays in a line.
Budget amendment is there before you. You've heard the request.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve,
Second.
and we have a second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner?
Yes, Director, you said the money is already appropriated in the budget,
For next year,
meaning 25,
if the
26?
budget passes in June.
Uh-huh.
However, this payment for maintenance will align it. So I get a bill in May. Or April, it's due in May, which we had already paid it. We had an extension in August of last year. The reason being is this has been going on for the last 3 years. Speaking with Motorola, a lot of discussions with everybody involved. This will align that to where over the next several years that we have made a contract on this agreement, it would put it in line.
So it's kind of catching it up, per se?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not, Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly? Yes. Commissioner McMurray? Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James? Yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you.
it's passed. Thank you, sir. Moving to item 6, Emergency Medical Services Report. Director Brian Gaither. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. For the month of May, we had 3,938 calls, 14 hospital transfers, response time of 7 minutes and 6 seconds, 193 deaths for the month. 31 of those went for autopsies. We collected $944,325. The bottom of that page is kind of our cost per mile, miles driven. The next page, some in-services and training and community relation events. Convalescent Division did 389 calls, collected $164,843. Next few pages is that more detailed report, and then the last few are some thank you notes we received for the month, and that's my report.
That motion approved. We have a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, report has been approved.
Before you leave, Brian, Mr. Chairman, if I could, can you give us an update on staffing, where you stand?
We are, I think currently we are down about 3 positions. We did an interview last week. We offered a person, and I think we have one or two scheduled this week or the first part of next week. When somebody applies, Keith Powell gets notified immediately by email, and he's immediately setting up interviews. So if they're looking, we want them to find us pretty quickly. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Fire and Rescue. Chief Farley. Evening.
Chairman, committee. For the month of May, we ran a total of 727 calls, 375 medical calls, and looks like about 84 MVAs. And that that 50 is on the extrication. That's a mistake. That should have been about 5. I got 50 on there, so they've been busy. For the year-to-date call volume is 3,493 calls. And then the next sheet is our call volume with the volunteers. So total call volume of 3,859 calls. And there's actually been 9 in the extrications. 449 MVAs. 2 structures were damaged by fire that turned into the codes department and the tax assessor. We had 12 fire alarm installations for the month of May. And then the next report is the fire marshal's report on their investigations and the outcome. Last sheet is just a rundown of all the illegal burns we've run to in the county, and that concludes my report. And I have a request for a grant.
Let's approve the report. Questions? Motion to approve. Have a second. Are there additional questions, comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, it is approved. Now, you have a grant?
I'm requesting permission to, and I apologize, I had to carry this to budget first because public safety I thought was at the end of the month. But because the grant has to be in by July the 3rd, so I had to take it to budget first in order to be able to fit it in timeline. But I'm asking your permission to apply for a federal saver grant for 16 people. The first 2 years, the grant pays 75%, the county pays 25%. The third year, the grant pays 35% and the county will pay 65%. This grant will allow us to fully staff the new heavy rescue due for delivery in January, and also the extra people to fully staff Rescue Agent 60. And also replace a firefighter on C shift that was reclassified. The grant must be filled by July 3rd. The grant will be awarded between the months of September and October this year. And I ask your permission to be able to apply for that.
Question. What happens when the grant is over? Because you're funding positions with these. Is that what you're saying?
We're funding positions for these through a grant. Like I said, the first 2 years, the federal government will pay 75% of their salary, and then third year will pay 35%, and after that, the county will have to pick up the cost of those firefighters.
And what would that cost be? You don't have a guess?
I have a list. We have received, I know 2 of these grants. We went back in 2014, we applied for a grant of 12 people, and that's when the county went to a paid department. And I think then 2016, we got 15 firefighters. And I think that's when we had 3 stations at that time. So it's been a good funding mechanism.
Mr. Chairman. Chief, what's the timeline on the grant? It's like a 10-year window we have to, what's the number of personnel, the requirements to maintain the grant without having, saver grants always concern me, the potential of having to do a swoop in and repay because of some checklist that wasn't made or wasn't met down the road. I'm not saying we won't make that. We're really good about keeping track with that. I just would like to know, is it a 10-year window and we have to have so many personnel, so if we lose or downsize those personnel that we lose that grant?
Anything like that. We apply for 16 people. If we get the grant, they pay the salaries for the first 3 years, and after that, we can either continue with them or we can lay them off. I mean, we're not bound to anything past that. That's just like in 2014, Mayor Burgess let us apply for a grant. We got 12 people. we started a full-time station, and that was for 3 years. At the end of that period, if we had decided not to continue to fund them, we could have let them off and went back to volunteers. So we're not bound to keep them. Matter of fact, Murray County's done it 3 or 4 years in a row. They got a grant, we get people, and as soon as the grant was over, they lay them off. But we haven't done that.
I'm just wondering what happens if, you know, the safer grants that I'm familiar with is like a 10-year window. They pay part of the salary for the first 3 to 5 years, and then you have to keep them for the next 7 to 10 or 7 to 6 years. And after that, that's what I'm trying to get my head around, the idea. If something 10 years from now happens, are we on the hook for this grant, or what's the parameters?
The grant is for 3 years.
Just making sure I'm having the right information.
After that, it's up to the county whether they want to continue to pay it or not.
Okay.
Because like I say, Murray County did this 3 or 4 times. They get a grant that have paid firefighters, and then the grant would run out, and they would lay them off. And they got, I think, 3 or 4 grants, and they did that every time. And I think at this time, they still got volunteers.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, my other question was more to you and our procedure. This came to us in the full commission already and has gone through. Is there a motion that needs to be made on this at this point because it's already going through?
Well, based on,
I'm just
doing this out of respect for this committee.
This is primarily for information to this committee, or if this committee wishes to support the activity of what's being done. We had I think one of the other departments had the same situation. I think the ambulance service had one to have the same situation because they were needing to come out in that budget for that approval. It could not wait until the latter time.
Right.
It had to go before budget.
A lot of times these...
I remember that. I just remember I appreciate the heads up and the courtesy of coming back to this, let us know what it was about and why. I just didn't think that a motion would do anything other than risk sending it back again for a next agenda.
We're not sending it. We won't be sending it back. It's already there. All you'll be doing is basically saying that we approve for them to go ahead and apply for this grant. That's all.
So just acknowledgement.
One more thing. Let me rectify this. And also, if we receive the grant, and they say you got it, I have to come back and get approval through public safety, budget, and the full commission. So this is just asking permission to apply for it.
That's all you're doing, and it's a courtesy to come back here to do this.
In that case, I'd like to make the motion that we acknowledge that this grant and then the way this went through. So, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you leave, Chief Farley, the Budget Committee has considered a request that came out of this committee that related to $40,000 for the Amaville Fire Department. It's my understanding that that request circumvented you as the department head. I'd like your input on that request.
Well, I just got a text from the mayor and Commissioner Gooch, and to be in full disclosure, they've requested that I reach out to Amble, and I already have, that they want to see a bank statement of how much money they got in savings, a bank statement of how much they got in checking, and then they want to know how many fundraisers they've done last year, and they also want to know what their plans for the county funding for this year. I just got off the phone with the chief a few minutes ago. Basically, all I can say is that, they're volunteers, and when they show up, when they have people to show up. Sometimes they don't have anybody, so they don't respond. But they respond like any other volunteer fire department when they have people available. I do know, talking to the Smyrna fire chief, Smyrna's got a new fire chief. I spoke with him, and he intends on taking over the interstate at the 70-mile marker. So we cover from 840 to Laverne city limits, which is exit 66. They will be, when he says they plan on taking over the interstate at exit 70, which is Allenville Road. So that's going to cut out a lot of the calls that Allenville has. It wouldn't have been my recommendation to give them $40,000. I'll just say that. I don't want to say anything disparaging, but they do what they can, and like any other volunteer fire department, they do what they can when they can do it. Christiana does the same thing. If they have people, they respond. If they don't, then we don't respond. But when you look at $120,000, how many part-time or firefighters would that pay for? So I mean, I understand we need to fund them, and as long as they're serving a purpose for being there, because that helps the ISO ratings for those communities in that area where they respond or not. So I mean, it keeps a class 5 ISO rating. If they wasn't there, then the class rating would go to a 10, and insurance would be outrageous. So they do serve a good purpose.
And if I could make one comment, Chief Farley was the only public safety firefighter that we had back
2010 to 2014.
over 15 years ago. And he's taken that department from where it was with just him to where we've got fire stations and full-time firefighters and emergency responders. And a lot of those stations were staffed with the type of grant that he's talking about, where we hired people, we trained those people, we evaluated their performance for several years before we put them on county. It's an excellent way for us to continue to grow in public safety as we continue to grow in population. So this grant is something that we've done not just one time, but more than once, and it's an excellent way for us to pay for hiring and training our future firefighters.
Also, I'd like to say that when I took this position, we had 11 volunteer fire departments, and as we built stations, we have a lot of the people who work for UFCAM right now were volunteers for many, many years. So they wasn't just kicked aside; they were offered jobs, and the ones who wanted to still participate were still allowed to volunteer with us, pending a background check. So I just want to make sure everybody says that we've kind of mistreated volunteers, and I disagree with that because we utilized them for many years.
I have a follow-up question, not a follow-up question, a question to follow up with what you said about the Smyrna Fire Chief. So does that mean that the county, that volunteer workload is going to decrease because they're going to take over
Yes.
the Smyrna area from 70 to 66? Because I know Laverne is 64.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
they're going to expand.
Well, of course, anytime there's a MVA or motor vehicle accident on the interstate, we respond. But technically, that's Anvil's area, so they respond if they're available. But Smyrna is going to be taking over that.
Gotcha.
And that's going to cut their call volume. It's going to be a pretty good cut in their call volume.
Okay, thank you.
And so when the budget committee made that decision, they wasn't aware of that because I just had that conversation with the chief down in Smyrna.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, response for Chairman Phillips here, the comment he had made, just wanted to mention, I can see the hesitation on the $40,000 for Amityville, and I can respect it, but I'd have to argue again that at this point, we're not in the position, as we're waiting for sewer to come out there, to build another public health and safety building out there. That price tag would be between $4 to $6 million for a lesser building that we built, $6 to $10 million for something that we've already started building around the county on that. That their price tag for the paid firemen on duty is roughly $2 million annually just for payroll. And then we have the equipment to equip that facility and so on. So for me, the balance of the equation of if we somehow do like the Forensic Center happened and save up the money aside and we pay cash for it and that's off the table, we still have a $2 million annual cost for the firemen versus $120,000 if we get the $40,000 to keep them up. And right now we don't have the ability to pull the other equation for a minimum of 18 months to 2 years. So for me, it's about keeping them solvent, keeping them fully involved, keeping our whole share lined up there in a way that really benefits countywide, especially in some of the most heavily, densely populated areas of the county. Now, there is dispute on how many calls they are making or not. I disagree with some of the numbers, and I can't help but note that on here, I asked 2 months ago for us to start getting breakdown of numbers, and I have none of those to go off of. So that is the question and part of the equation. But the big part of the equation is we can't move into there for a minimum of 2 years. Well, more than that if you really count the build time. So we need to make sure we keep them healthy and as functional as possible. And that's my opinion. And that's what I was wanting to bring that one up.
I'm not arguing the case at all. I'm not arguing the need. This committee passed, it passed in Budget Committee. My point that I was trying to make is that this guy's the department head. Those requests, in my mind, should go through him for input. And I understand that motion that was made last month did not go through him. And I think that that's where it should start. We've got a department head that controls the budget, and for us to make a $40,000 expenditure through his department without his knowledge is backdoor. And I'm not arguing against it or arguing the need. My only point was that this guy should be included in the equation. That's the only point I was trying to make.
Also, I'd like to comment too, the county purchased a brand-new custom fire truck for them 2 or 3 years ago, and it was $600,000. So, and we also maintain that truck. Right now, that truck is down because it was getting antifreeze into the oil, and our mechanic and our budget is paying to repair that. So we keep that engine up. So I mean a $600,000 piece of apparatus I think is sufficient to make sure they have the correct response. So I mean, they haven't been left out. They've been included in everything we've done. So.
Well, that's also part of our contract with them, and it's been down since December.
Yes, sir. And I checked on that the other day, and there's about, the only thing that's holding up, there's about 6 boats about that long that has to mount the block back in there, and they're having trouble getting those parts. That's the only thing holding us up. It's not my mechanic, because you mentioned that the other day, and this boat's about that long. It goes all the way through the block, and that holds that block in place. Because I checked the other day, and that's the only thing we're waiting on. Once we get those, that engine will be back in service.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Sheriff's report. Chief Spence.
Good evening. This morning's population was 1,022. This afternoon's 1,017. Our staffing updates, communications has 3 openings. Detention has 21. We have 5 applicants in the background stage. Narcotics has 1 opening. Patrol has 3 openings with 2 in the background stage. SROs has 3 openings, 1 in the background stage and 2 scheduled to start in August. That's the end of my report.
Commissioners, you've heard the report. Any questions, comments, or a motion? Motion to approve. Have a second. Further discussion.
Question, and I know I've asked this question before, but we have a lot of inmates that have not been sentenced. So where are we in the backlog with the courts or whatever case may be? Can you speak to that? Because we're paying for people that have not even been sentenced yet.
Yes, ma'am. We understand. Same thing with the state inmates. We're waiting on them to come pick them up. It's the court system. They're busy. Just wait on them to get on the docket to be heard about from the courts.
So does that mean we're limited with judges? I mean, who can I ask that question to, I guess?
That goes through judicial.
Okay.
That's primarily where that's at.
Okay.
Well, we actually have 2 officers. You got 1 officer sitting here on your committee, and I think he could probably tell you that too, that they can deal with the situation out here in the county, in the cities. They can arrest them, they can bring them in, but as far as bringing them to court, that goes through the judicial system, and that goes to the proper, what they have to go through. You go through the attorneys, you go through the judges, you go through the court system. And once they have them in the detention center out here, they have to sit there and wait their turn. And that's where we are. They can answer that about as good as anybody I know, and that's all I understand about it. But they have no ability to let them out or do
Well,
anything
yeah, I
else.
can appreciate that part. That's not
that's
my
where we
question.
are.
I was just curious about the court side. Like, who could I ask that question to? Like, what's the holdup?
They have to go through due process. Their attorney has to do their research on their case. So it takes time to do their homework to make sure they got the case together before they go to court also.
I would, Mr. Chair, I would say maybe asking our county attorney to see what our private act dictates, and that might be the start of that, to see what all stipulations are in there, and then go for, if we're looking at anything, that would probably be the place to start.
Because it looks like we're already overcrowded.
Yes, ma'am, we are.
And things are still happening. So it's just like, well, where are
Yes,
you going to put them?
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
so it's
Right.
just interesting.
Yes, ma'am. And we understand.
That's why we've had this committee, you know, looking into what we're going to do out here and whatever. But, you know, every case is different. Every situation is different. And we do what we can, I think. And that's all we're can do, the responsibility of the law enforcement out here. And I understand your concern there. I've sat on this committee since 2014 and asked the same questions, but it's the same judicial system we've had, and that's the way it's been. Appreciate you asking the question. Maybe if we keep asking the question, maybe we'll get a better situation. Any other questions on the report? If not, all those in favor of the report say aye. Those opposed, your report has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. PAWS. Good evening.
Good evening. For the month of May, we had 293 animals come into the shelter. Our euthanasia rate was 8%. Live release rate for dogs was 89.4%, 93% for our cats. Our officers completed out 1,264 calls, traveling 8,085 miles. Fiscal year to date, 4,203 animals into the shelter. Our live release rate was 91.6%. Officers completed out 12,459 calls, traveling 82,303 miles. For our rabies exposure and bite report, of course, that goes by calendar year. For the month of May, we had 36 bites reported. One of those was sent for testing. It came back negative. We had 11 other exposures. One of those was sent for testing. It did come back positive. Actually, it was unsatisfactory, but that is considered a positive. It was another dog that had gotten into a fight with a skunk and killed that. The last page of the report is the visual graph that I give you to see the animal outcomes. And that's my report, sir.
You've heard the report. Any questions? Has this been an unusual year for skunks?
Last year, I think we only had one. We did have another one that came back positive today. It kind of ebbs and flows, but nothing necessarily unusual.
I just wondered, because I think I've seen more, but I just wondered if skunks are they do carry rabies about more than any animal we have out here, don't they?
Skunks and raccoons typically are the ones that have the most in Tennessee. The skunk variant is typically the one that we see here, especially in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah. Other questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second right over here. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? It is approved. Are you going to go over the rules and regulation changes? I think you have presented this to Budget and Finance.
Actually, it went to steering last week, just so happened that they met before you all did for this particular month. This has been through, Eric and I had met several times over this. The county attorneys have been involved with this quite extensively. We've been working on this for about the last 6 months. The biggest things that change in here, first of all, there's just some cleanup language. But then also the biggest thing that changed is the dangerous and potentially dangerous dog ordinance. Everything in there had been 18 months, so if an animal had done certain things within an 18-month period, it could have that case brought against it. And then the restrictions were for 18 months. This changes it such that it can do these things over a 24-month period, and it extends out the restriction period for 24 months as well. It also puts some language in there about the restrictions when those have to be met by. But again, this has been through Eric several times, back and forth, and then with Nick as well. Like I said, it did go through steering last week.
This was another one of those situations where a committee was meeting before we would meet, that it needed to it needed to go to steering. So he asked if he could go ahead with that, and this was the situation with June, that it had to go at that time. So he did make that presentation to steering.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
What's the policy for these neighborhoods now that are wanting to do like a mini farm, where they're like chickens, for example, and the neighbors out there are frustrated or don't want the smell, the odor, the stuff. Maybe they don't have an HOA, but they're in the county.
That wouldn't be something that we would regulate. That'd be something that it could be potentially through building codes and zoning, but we don't regulate chickens.
I was looking through here with other livestock. So where's it's kind of that weird mix. So where's the animals the common animals that you would cover, and the animals that you would probably send more towards the Department of Agriculture or something?
The Department of Agriculture deals with livestock. So when it comes to livestock cruelty complaints, those go through the Department of Agriculture. The law states there's only certain individuals within the law that can investigate those things. And we only have a couple of folks, and can't guarantee that we would have folks on shift or even have those folks in the future. So that's one of those things. Several years ago, we were handling those. And as y'all like to talk about unfunded mandates from the state, they changed that law and they created the Ag Crime Unit and those things and that website for you to be able to do those things. So that was something we were able to actually punt back the other direction versus the state punting down to us.
A motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? It has been approved.
All right, thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. OSHA? Ed Elam, good evening, sir.
Commissioner James, for a second there, I thought you were going to ask about Ed the zebra, if they participated in catching in or not, when it said other livestock. So anyway, so for my report for the OSHA for the month of May, you had a total of 15. Board of Ed had 8. County General had 5. Highway had 2. And of the County General, 1 was solid waste, 4 was the Sheriff's Department. Incident frequency, year to date, you have a total of 74. For the OSHA log summary, total recordable, 62. Lost day claims, 12. Restricted day claims, 38. Other recordables, 12. In the reserves, you'll see that there's 62,675 for the month of May. Year to date, you have 388,655. Year to date amount paid out, 98,193. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, you've seen and heard the report. Questions or comments or a motion? Motion to approve and a second. Further comments? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Your report has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Recovery Court. Michelle Ricks.
Good evening. It's the Recovery Court report for May. Our total current population is 182. We had 4 graduates.
You might want to pull that mic down a bit.
Total current population is 182. We had 4 graduations and 6 terminations. Our Veterans Court, we currently have 25 participants with 15 applications in process. Our DUI day program, we have 13. And our DUI night, we have 27 with 24 total applications in process. Mental health court, we have 58 participants with 29 applications in process. And our drug court, we have 53 with 43 applications in process. And that concludes my report.
Commissioners, you've heard and seen the report. Questions or comments? Or a motion? Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Other comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Report has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I think you've got an amendment. Yeah, I've written that down too.
Okay, well, I'm going
You do have an amendment.
Okay, I have a budget amendment. This amendment is being requested for fiscal year 24-25 for our EBJP reentry program. There is a this is a no-match grant. This amendment is being requested for the fiscal year 25 grant award for the reentry program to reallocate funds from the data processing equipment line to the furniture and fixtures line to purchase tables for the classroom. The period of performance has also been extended until 6/30/2027. And again, this is a no-match grant.
Commissioners, you've heard the request and you've seen it there. Do we have any questions or comments?
Question.
Oliver.
Ms. Ricks, on the first line, it says amendment being requested for fiscal year 24-25. So that's the current year we're in now, right?
Yes.
And so you're going to make a request now for next year? Is that what you're saying here?
So I don't know that much about this budget because this is for our reentry program or this budget amendment.
I just didn't know if that was a typo or
No,
what.
it is for this year. It was to close out this fiscal year.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's what yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Further comment? Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James, Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes,
Motion passes.
it is approved.
Thank you.
Probation report.
Good evening. Tiara Smith, Assistant Director of Probation. For the month of May, we actively supervised 1,438 clients. We terminated 193 cases for 150 clients. In our classes and programs, we had 60 participants, 21 successfully completed their programs, and 2 were discharged unsuccessfully. In our Olive Branch program, we assisted 7 individuals with clothing or food. We received 3 donations from the community. In the 10 Rocks program in General Sessions Court, we had 11 participants. 1 was discharged unsuccessfully. For the month of May, we sent $22,538 to the clerk's office to be collected on a payment plan, bringing that fiscal year total to $180,939. We were unable to send $6,911, bringing that fiscal year unable to be sent to collections to $76,033.50. That is my report.
You've seen and heard the report. Questions, comments, or motion? And a motion to approve?
Second.
And a second. Further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It has been approved.
Thank you.
Other business? Yes, sir.
I noticed that tonight and last month, they were away on the call, but we didn't get those numbers that I had asked for 2 months ago. And I want to know, maybe I should put it in the form of a motion to suggest. I would like to start getting a report very similar to what we get on the fire report that shows the breakdown of different calls for the county-wide, but I'd like to see what it is per building or per public health and safety building that we have, just to see the dispatching and where it's going, how it's going, how we could fine tune where are the holes that we really need. So when they come say, yes, we want to put it at this location versus this location, another facility, we have that. And we need to start getting those numbers preset. And so maybe I should make that in the form of a motion. I'd like to get more debate and discussion on it if anybody agrees with me. But my overall thing is I don't think it ever hurts to have more information and to gather, even if right now we'd have to start building these numbers up. It'd take months before we'd really be able to see the pattern improve. But if we don't start, we will never have that, and we'll constantly be in that back and forth, kind of like what we saw earlier of yes, you are, or no, you're not making it. Now we can have definitive numbers. So with that, I'd like to move to request to start getting this report, the breakdown of the individual public health and safety buildings, the fire and the EMS, so for dispatch calls, very similar to whatever the report is. Very similar to the Rutherford County Fire Report, May 2025 report, and then the year-to-date report breakdown, but just per facility.
I'll second for discussion. Are you saying you've asked for this information and it's not been supplied to you?
Well, if you remember 2 months ago or now, I asked Director Clark, because dispatch falls under his authority, and he sent me to Chief Farley, and then Chief Farley subsequently sent me back to Mr. Clark. And I was hoping that the next month we'd start to see something, but we had the storm come through, and they weren't here for that, and we didn't have that. So then, now this month, it's still not there. So yeah, I've kind of wanted to see it. I've asked for it and like to start seeing some of these numbers start reflecting, just so we can build a knowledge base and understanding of the full breakdowns. And
What totally are you wanting to see, Commissioner?
well, I'm not wanting to reinvent the wheel. I've like what Chief Farley provides us on the very first page of his report, where it shows the breakdown of the types of, whether it's structure fires, emergency management, medical calls, et cetera, motor vehicles, et cetera. But then you break it down per facility. Like, I don't know, like I know.
You're wanting to go per station? Is that what you're wanting?
Yes, I like to see the per station. Like, I don't know what their tier of their dispatch is. Like, for example, let's go with the Christiana. You've got the Sledge Road Christiana, and now you got the Fosterville Christiana. Which one are they dispatched? They have a tier 1 dispatch, and then after a certain amount with no response, they call tier 2 dispatch. Or they brought up Annabelle. Annabelle's got 3 locations, 1 mile weekly and the Annabelle station. Are they dispatching all 3 at the same time and before even 1 mile, which is the middle one, the easiest one for anybody to get to, gets on the road, they cancel en route. Now they've got 3 canceled instead of.
Well, you're almost getting into
the numbers are going, so you can start
into
breaking
the
it
CAD
down
report,
and figure
aren't you?
out real numbers. Say that again.
You're almost getting into the CAD report.
In essence, but this would be the breakdown of the monthly numbers that would help us see where and what. So yeah, it's not, my understanding is, and especially the new system that Chief Farley said 2 months ago that they're bringing online there, it shouldn't be very difficult, but it's, if they're dispatching everybody, like I don't know what truck number engine 61, engine 55 means. We know them affectionately as the Kittrell location, the Rockville Public Health and Safety Building.
Rockville's
as we get
56.
as we get those broken down and we see the numbers, we can actually see and help determine, are we doing the right maneuvers? Is there a way to help focus on this and focus where our the devices that we're being told we need to purchase, the value is there, yes, no. We see real numbers and real stuff instead of just, it is. So yeah, it's a kind of a collective approach, and I'm under the belief that the more information I have when you ask for something, the better off we all are.
I just don't know how much or what good it will do us sitting here. I mean, to know each individually what we'll have.
Well, how about we try it and see, and then give it a 6-month window or a year window to get the numbers to reporting, and if it's bogging us down with too much information, then any one of us can try to say, hey, we're good, remove it. But it would be, in my opinion, it'd be a valuable tool to have.
Thank you. So are you asking this for resource allocation?
For this, yes, for the same, or for the same breakdown that we get with our current countywide dispatch. Just like to see how those numbers are spread out. Like, okay, like there was 3 structure fires that they've reported to. It'd be nice to know.
Well, a lot of
times,
times, do you not have some of the same departments at the same structure fire?
Yes, and that would be valuable to see. Are we over dispatching, overusing the equipment? Are we not? Are we getting so many of them that are being dispatched and canceled en route when we could tweak that a little bit? It's the same thing I do at UPS where with our dispatching platforms, where we kind of redo our loops every so often just to be able to see, but you have to have those numbers to see, is there value in this, or is this algorithm still working the way it was originally set up? And it's just putting all these devices together.
I don't know if I have the authority I don't know if I have the ability to say what needs to be dispatched and who does need to dispatch. Chairman?
I would suggest we're asking Mr. Clark, Mr. Gaither, Mr. Farley to issue a report without input from those guys. Why don't we have, when we have those 3 guys before this committee next week, we ask them that question.
Next month, let me bring them in to ask them that, and we'll just bring them forward and see what they say.
Well, I'll counter that with, I did that 2 months ago with them in this chamber during our meeting, and they passed it off to each other. And then the next morning, the only one who's called me still to this date was the next morning was Chief Farley, and we had a conversation about it and sat down just like I've talked with you now, and he presented back saying, yep, that is Director Clark, because dispatch is under his wheelhouse.
Come on.
I'm not asking for each one of them, I'm asking for our dispatch.
I'll gladly talk to them, see what we can see what can come out of it, and then we'll bring it up the next meeting if that'll be okay. But you've made a motion here, and you're primarily just asking for more of this information.
Exactly, yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would like to withdraw my second, since you said that you would speak to Director to try to get those numbers.
We will.
And I will also follow up with that and withdraw the motion under the understanding that you'll speak and get back to this committee on it.
I'll do that. I sure will. We'll do that. But don't be surprised I don't call you and ask to see if this is what you want, if that's okay. Okay? All right, anything else? I am getting reports here from Commissioner McMurray. He's not with us tonight. He's on vacation, but he's been watching us to make sure we're doing everything right, and we wish him well where he's at. I hope he enjoys his shrimp and all those things. I was there 2 weeks ago, so wish him the best. If there's no other business.
Next meeting.
Next meeting is showing up on the calendar as the 21st, and we've been going over it up here. And we're going to check on that, and we will send out another notification. If it's not the 21st, we will notify you as quick as we can to make sure that you get the right date. June and July is going to be crazy for all of us. You've already seen where ours has been changed. It's the fact that everybody's trying to get everything in. This building, this room right here will not be available the first 2 weeks, right, of July, as they're working on the sound system. So it's not going to be available, so meetings can't be held here. So we're dealing with all of that, and we're trying to get all the meetings in that we can, and, we just got too many eggs for the basket, and we got to get a bigger basket or do something. So we're trying to get everything in here, so we'll do that.
Just one particular point. I've got it on my calendar for the 28th, Monday the 28th, and
the 28th would be the normal date.
that would put it in the same week as the rest of the committees that meet that same week. So,
But the official calendar is also showing Health and Ed meeting on the 22nd. So, but we'll let you know for sure. We'll let you know for sure.
I'll let you know in the morning or here in a little bit.
We'll get it straight. Anything else? If not, we're adjourned.